I'm talking today to Wachira Waruru, who is the CEO of Royal Media. Royal Media runs Citizen TV and several radio stations. Wachira, some while back, Citizen was the number 4 or the number 5 television station in the Kenyan market. What was it that catapulted it to becoming the number 1 station in the market?
Yes, that was in the year 2007. That's when I came here. And I'd been in TV, I've been at Standard Group, which is KTN, I've been at KBC. And the tradition in the Kenyan media was that there was a lot of foreign content. And it appeared at the time that TVs were competing in who has got the latest, American sitcom and the latest dramas, etc. But it had occurred to me long before that this content was not relevant or didn't make any sense to the mass market. The average Kenyan could not relate to American.
It wasn't local, was it?
It wasn't local. But for some reason, I think that the management of Kenyan TV has been very elitist. And I think the people making programming decisions or choosing programs for themselves rather than for the public. So, being at number 4 or number 5 at the time, we had to make a major strategic decision to change the game, as opposed to playing in the same space that everyone else was in. And we made the decision to adopt a local programming strategy to give the station a very strong Kenyan and African identity, as opposed to the trend of trying to be as Western as possible.
And that programming was in Swahili?
Well, the first thing we did is that we stopped going to Cannes for the web TV. Said no one is going there anymore. Let's find local solutions. And as a result of that, today, Citizen TV does not have a single program from Hollywood. There's not a single American program on our TV station. We are number 1. That tells you something. So we adopted a local programming strategy and decided that every day at prime time at 7:30, we're going to have a local program, a Kenyan program, in Kiswahili addressing the mass market. That was the beginning of the process. That was the pillar of our programming. But all around it, we were creating content and looking for content that would also resonate with the mass market. And we started and managed to have 5 programs every day, Monday to Friday, in Kiswahili, local. And the rest is history. That started the process.
How did you manage to convince the advertisers? Because in a way, they must have been the key people to pay enough, because the differential between international programs is between sort of $200 to $2,000 an hour and $10,000 to $15,000 an hour. So how did you persuade them to put up the money to, in a sense, underwrite that?
We did not persuade them. Reality persuaded them.
Right.
Because it was very difficult at the beginning.
So the numbers convinced them.
Yes, the people in the advertising industry are just as elitist as the people who are doing programming. So they associated themselves with that foreign content. And there's always this notion that foreign content represents quality, and that local content meant poor quality, and that local is down market. So when you go local, you're going down market. We said no, that's not it. Kenyans are proud of their identity. We must be proud of what we have. And not only did we go into local programming, we started advertising it. Full-page color adverts in the newspapers, pushing it forward with a lot of pride. So we owned it. Even then, it was very difficult because ad agencies would be very happy to advertise in, say, Desperate Housewives. You'd hear there's a certain corporate is sponsoring a cocktail, the launch of Desperate Housewives in a TV station for the first time. Yet when you bring a local program to them, they'll ask you, so who's the target audience? Can you explain to us who to be reaching and what, a lot of questions. So what we did is we just dived into the deep end. We said, let the public decide this. And at the very beginning, for the first 6 months or so, there was no advertising. Everybody was just looking. They continued to advertise in the foreign programs and other stations. But when the research came out, they started taking notice. We also had a lot of sessions with them. We'd call them for breakfast meetings. Tell them, this is the direction. And eventually,
they came around.
They started coming around. And now they're very supportive. We've got a very supportive advertising industry.
So the programs themselves, describe a couple of them so we've got some sense of the type of programming that has been successful.
We look for programs that mirror society, in which ordinary Kenyans see themselves and their experiences in various
settings.
Forms.
Yeah.
According to one of the most popular programs in the country is called Inspekta Mwala. It's a police comedy where the inspector is a what they call dwarfs, midgets.
Yeah.
He's a very short man.
Yeah.
He's an adult.
Yes.
Very funny guy.
Yeah.
Very spontaneous. And all his officers are 6 feet tall, and he's their boss.
Yeah.
There's really some humor in it.
Yeah.
So he's very spontaneous, and he's famous. He's
Yeah.
really well known. And Inspekta Mwala is looking at the lives of Kenyans through a police station. What are people arrested for? What do people report at police stations? You know?
Yeah.
A guy's been arrested because he was peeing on a fence somewhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is illegal.
Yes.
The guy says, but it cost 5 shillings to go
Yeah.
to a public toilet.
Yeah.
And the 5 shillings I had, I needed to buy something to eat.
Yeah.
So I had to make a choice. Things like that.
Yeah.
What issues do people experience among themselves? In estates, in the streets. So it's a true reflection of everyday life,
And
with a humorous touch.
And something like Papa Shirandula, what is that?
Papa Shirandula is a story about a watchman. I think you've noticed there are watchmen everywhere in Kenya.
Yes.
And the watchman is probably the lowest cadre in society. They're badly paid.
Yeah.
They stand out in the sun. No one cares about them. No one bothers about what they eat. And they badly looked down upon. But there's nothing as Kenyan as a watchman. They're everywhere. So we decided, let's take a story of a watchman but give him some dignity. So Papa Shirandula is a watchman who has dreams and has hopes, and he refuses to accept his the fate that society throws upon him as the lowest of the low. So he's very ambitious. Now, the key to the story is that his wife believes he works in the IT department of his company.
Right. Yes.
And he tells her, I work in the IT department. And he leaves the house in a suit, wheels his bicycle away, then stops in a bush and wears his watchman's clothes and goes to work. So he's confident. He talks to his wife about, when he's with his wife, he's this professional. Of course, he doesn't know anything about IT. He says all sorts of weird. His wife is not educated, so she believes everything he says. He says, I was very busy today. Hotmail got spoiled, and even the microwave got spoiled, and I fixed them, and had many meetings. And he picks up words that he hears from the staff, and his wife is, in awe of this very clever man. So he presents himself as a person who does well. So people like his confidence,
So is it again a comedy? Are we laughing at him?
It is a comedy, but it has it's satirical. It has some
the grain of truth in there.
Social messages.
Yeah.
That the fact that you don't have money doesn't mean you have to be miserable.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't have dignity and pride.
Yes.
So it's very uplifting.
Yeah.
It's flip this guy was looked down upon by society and create a hero out of him. So he's a nice guy, but his reality is a reality of people in that position. He's always broke, always trying to borrow money from colleagues, always making up stories about some misfortune in his rural home and needs to go and need some money, and he has 3 wives.
Right.
You know? So it's a very real story.
Yeah. So are all these programs that have been successful in catapulting you in audience terms, are they all comedies or are there serious ones in there as well?
Predominantly comedy. We don't find it hard to actually draw that line, to create that distinction between what's comedy, what's a drama.
Yeah.
We just roll with it, So we've got serious messages.
Yeah.
But there's always some funny guy.
Yeah, yeah.
One of our most popular programs is Tahidi High, which is a high school drama, and it deals with the issues that teenagers go through in a normal high school situation. Their relationships with their teachers, their relation with their
boyfriends and girlfriends,
relationships, and some serious issues. Deal issue about drug abuse, abstinence, issues of money and how it affects kids in school, relations with parents, serious matters. But within it, there's some very funny characters.
Yeah.
And the hero there is the cleaner, a guy called Omosh.
Okay.
He's a school cleaner.
Yeah.
But the way he speaks, speaks to the language of the streets.
Yeah.
And public loves him because
Yeah.
it's so real and he's. So we don't quite say comedy, drama. We just say, this is it.
So if you were to talk through this to other broadcasters in other countries in Africa, what would you say? I mean, how would you describe how it's possible to do what you've done?
You see, it's not rocket science. You need to realize that the biggest TV and movie industry in the world, you can say Hollywood, Bollywood, now Nollywood, in the Nigerian industry. And what do they all have in common? The content is local. Even Hollywood is local content. It's not for Americans. And that's a very simple principle. You have to talk to your people first. And what tends to happen is you find a lot of producers producing content hoping will be recognized or noticed by someone else in Europe or in America. We're always seeking accolades, awards
somewhere else
out there.
Yeah.
We're here and we want to walk on a red carpet.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that, but if you just simplify it and turn to your own people, that's a beginning.
Yes.
And it has worked for us. It was almost miraculous.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the time it took you to get the audiences was what, 9 months, 9 months?
Very short. Within a year,
Yeah.
we had changed it was a game changer.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to be local. You have to be relevant. And you have to deal with the mass market. You have to understand the mass market. There's all these traditional...
What in Kenya you would call Wananchi.
Yes, there's a traditional classification of society. The elite, ABC, A, B, C, 2D, whatever. But in many ways, as far as entertainment is concerned, the mass market is not an economic definition as far as we're concerned. There's an instinct that makes that Kenyans share. There are some things that Kenyans laugh at together, irrespective of their
class
and their financial well-being. And I think that's what we've managed to do. That's important.
Yeah, there's a particular Kenyan sense of humour.
There's a Kenyan sense of humour.
Yeah.
Some books, a guy was speaking a certain way, Kenyans will find it extremely funny, and you wonder, so what? The other thing is to acknowledge the reality of how people watch TV. TV is a communal event. It's viewed by families. There's one TV in the house and there's a family. And usually our families have always got extended members of the family. There's an in-law.
A grandma.
There's a grandma. There's some fellow from the village who's got a job or is doing some course somewhere. And there's a big difference in the ages and interests of the people in that room. So what we try to do is create content that entire family can relate to, perhaps at different levels of interest. The term I use is a gross tolerance ratio. Okay.
Right. So there's something for everybody.
Something for everybody. Some may like it more than others, but they can all consume together.
Yeah.
And I think we always bear that in mind. That it's a family event. There's some content that may be interesting to niche audiences. We try to keep away from that.
Yeah. Wachira, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you.